McConnell recently said to the Republican caucus on passing the big ugly bill, he said, look, guys, just pass the damn thing. I'm paraphrasing, of course. Just pass the damn thing. They'll get over it. The people who are being hurt, which are many, which are most, they will get over it. And, he has a point. So far as a country, we have gotten over the bad things that the politicians have been doing to us since 1980, since supply side economics went in full force. Again, remember, we have gone in cycles from the robber barons till the correction done by Roosevelt to coming back to the Reagan reinstituting supply side economics, which has made every American but the top poorer. Semblance of richness, but poorer. Or a semblance of richness because credit changed. Now, I want to remind you of how this stuff works, and politicians know it well. I want to start with Israel. We have Israel using 1,200 horrific killings, Hamas, on their people. They use that to decimate Gaza. So 1,200 of our Jewish brothers and sisters got killed in Israel. And for that, now counted over 100,000 Palestinians dead, but counts have it as high as over 300,000 if you count the people that are still under the rubble that is throughout Gaza, because he decimated Gaza. But still, when you watch TV or when you listen to these folks, they just tell you they did what they had to do. Think about it. Who is the aggressor? 300,000 versus 1,200. Body counts count. Iraq, we lost about 4,200, between 4,200 and 5,000 Americans got killed in Iraq. But over 500,000 Iraqis got killed. Who's the aggressor? Panama, we wanted to get Manuel Antonio Noriega, one person. Anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 Panamanians dead. Who is the aggressor? We were told that supply side economics, the Reaganomics, voodoo economics, would bring prosperity to all. Most of the wealth went to the top 0.1%, the top 10%, and everybody continues to get poorer under these types of policies. Yet we are scared to hear the word social democracy. But we understand that the current economic system has been decimating your pocketbooks. Your healthcare continues to go up, yet you're told that Medicare for all will harm you, when Medicare for all, just by the numbers when calculated, proves that that is a better system. The rest of the world, the rest of the OECD, the rest of the industrialized world is doing it differently from us, have better healthcare outcomes. Not only have better healthcare outcomes, but healthcare can't decimate you. But we continue to fear that, as opposed to electing people who said, yes, that's what we're going to do. We have rents all over America taking up a bigger and bigger part of our incomes. And we can feel it. We can see it. Yet we continue to elect people that says, no, we don't want rent control. No, we don't want policies that stop folks from doing these things. Let's remember why rents go up, why all these things go up. Well, because of an economic system that says growth, growth, growth for the people who owned those stocks in those resources that you use, whether it's be healthcare, the stocks in the hospitals, the stocks in the real estate, the stocks in the defense industrial complex companies that need to build bombs to supply the killing that Israel and armies around the world are doing. They have to grow. They have to grow. They have to grow. So defense companies grow by creating bombs and killing. Healthcare companies grow by charging you more, by making you, by telling you you have an illness that needs them instead of maybe drinking water. Rent goes up because the people who owns REITs, real estate stocks, they need to make more money, and that money has to come from the people who least can say no. You. When Mandami won the race, people wanted to understand, how can somebody, we have taught Americans to fear that word. Democratic socialist, hell, socialist. We've taught Americans that is something that you see in Venezuela. Do you want to be like Venezuela? Do you want to be like Cuba? Do you want to be like North Korea? Do you want to be like those countries? That's what they teach you. That's what it looks like. But wouldn't you like to be like Denmark, the happiest country in the world, or Sweden, or one of those countries where, people have a very high happy index? It's in our hands, but we have allowed ourselves to stop critically thinking, believing what we're told. Yesterday morning, we're watching TV. And the big scare right now is out. And it comes out just in time for this big dirty bill. Social Security will not be able to pay its outlays in 10 years. That's the new numbers. Because of the amount of people working and paying into Social Security and the amount of people, the baby boomer generation that's retiring at 60,000 people every day. I think it's 60,000. I don't remember. Some amount of thousands of people every day. So eventually there are going to be more people taking out more money than people putting in money, the volume of money. So it won't be able to fulfill its mission at full cost. So this expert comes on TV, this Social Security expert comes on TV, and they got my wife's attention. Hey, Social Security is going to be bankrupt in 10 years. And the options that she gave were three. One, we could take the 22% or 25% or 28% cut in the amount we get from Social Security, right? Because that's how short it's going to be. Or we could actually increase the Social Security taxes. Right now, you pay, if you're an employee, you pay 6.2%. Your employer pays another 6.2%. That's how much, Social Security is not free. We're all paying for it. So when they talk about entitlements, it's not free. We pay for it. But that's how we save it, right? Increasing it to 6.2% on everybody, right? And the third option is to just go ahead and have people work longer. So you can no longer retire at 62. You can no longer retire at 65. You can no longer retire at 67. You now have to work into your old age. And more than likely what that means is you die before you're able to collect anything from Social Security. What a saving. We save by just making you die. Those are the three options the expert gave on TV. And my wife looked and said, hey, wow, those are, tough options. And my daughter said, well, Ma, we have already, my generation have already know that we're not getting Social Security. And I looked at both of them and I said, stop it. I am not doing this to work, this type of activist work here for folks to go ahead and say, we just have to take it. Social Security is going bankrupt or whatever. I said, you listen to what that woman said, the expert that everybody wants to listen to, right? She's the expert. No, she is the plutocracy's stooge, because the most important option that is there to save Social Security wasn't mentioned. And the reason it wasn't mentioned, it's because it is where the money really lies. And that is with the wealthy. We could actually reduce Social Security. We don't have to keep Social Security at 6.2%. The reason it's at 6.2% is that we stop collecting Social Security taxes up and until $176,000, which means if you make $1 billion a year, Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Elon Musk, of your billions of dollars that you make every year, your Social Security tax stops at $176,000. Not even a rounding error for Bill Gates. Not even a rounding error for Tom Cruise. Not even a rounding error, folks. Understand what we're talking about here. They give you the options. They don't allow you to critically think about what the solutions are. They are telling you, I will give you a plate of options you can choose from, but you don't get a chance to define what's on that plate. No, that's not true what I just said. You choose, all of you that are listening to me right now, you chose not to determine the options on that plate, because the other option on that plate that Social Security expert gave you was everybody's income, whether wages or capital gains, whether dividends or not. Every single thing called wages should be taxed. And if that is done, the Social Security taxes for absolutely everybody wouldn't go up, it would go down. Not only because most of the money paid out in this country, most of the income made in this country, most of the wealth in this country is owned by less than 20% of this country. And in fact, the vast majority by the 0.1%. Americans don't understand the extreme wealth that this country has. If you were to see the charts as far as what the wealthy really has, it would blow your minds. They like to say things like, if we tax the rich, then eventually we'll have nothing to tax. There will not be enough money. That is the biggest lie out there. Because what the rich have learned to do, or what not they've learned to do, what they've commanded their politicians they own to do, is to define what income is. So when you go to work and you use your wage, you make a wage, either salaried or you make an hourly wage, one or the other. It's a little bit of money. They call that income. But that's not how the wealthy makes their money. In fact, a lot of CEOs, they take $1 as their income. And then they tell you, I am a nice guy. I only make $1 because I know I have a lot of money. So I only take $1. And they make it seem like it is something benevolent they're doing, which it isn't. It is actually something much less benevolent than one would believe, because they take their monies as stock options, which the income from stock option comes from something called capital gains, which means when that price of that stock go up and they sell it, remember, they did no work. They just sold a stock. The income tax on that stock is less than what you pay as an employee getting income. Both of them are income. They're income. But he pays or she pays less than you do because they define that income as capital gains. Let me tell you another kind of income that they use. Let's say I got $1 billion in stock, and let's say I live on $500 million a year, right? That's what I make. I don't go ahead and sell that stock, because I sell that stock, I'll have to pay income tax on it. Less than you do, but I still have to pay some income tax. I don't want to pay any income tax. I am wealthy. We don't pay taxes. That's for the peons. That's for you guys. That's why Social Security stops taking payments at $176,000. You know why? Because you got to pay for that stuff. We don't, even though the billions that we made was on your back. Because do remember, when you're a secretary, a janitor, an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, whatever, they are making money on you because they don't do anything. You know, the reason Elon Musk had the ability to run around and with a chainsaw and all of that, because he doesn't work. And the genius that they say he is imagined. It's the media imagining that because he has wealth, he's a genius, as opposed to an economic system that rewards those who do the least. But we continued. So as far as these guys who have stocks, they don't have to worry about taxes, because they go to an insurance company or they go to a bank and they say, hey, I want to borrow every year. I want to borrow let's say $10 million I want to borrow. And the bank says, okay. And they say, I'll put my stock up as collateral to that loan. The bank says, okay. And the bank loans you the money, and they charge you a little bit of interest on that money, tiny bit of interest compared to the tax rate. And you said, okay, I'll just borrow that money and spend that money, that borrowed money. And because it is borrowed money I'm spending, it's not income. It is based on my stock. It is based on my wealth. But since I'm spending supposedly the bank's money backed by my stock, I pay zero income taxes on that. And later on, if I decide to pay it back, there's no big deal. I actually get a tax break I also get a tax break for the income taxes. I mean, for the interest that the bank is charging me because I passed it through my LLC. My brothers and sisters, the economic system that we have is a con for the wealthy. But nobody tells you that. You listen to CNBC every day. You listen to CNN every day. You listen to NBC every day. And they tell you entitlements are breaking the budget. They're telling you all these things that are breaking the budget. The one thing that they don't tell you is breaking the budget. Bernie will tell you, man, Danny will tell you, is the wealthy, the billionaires. If you want to know who is breaking our budget, it's the people who are the biggest loafers. All of you that are listening to me, including many of you who support these guys. Oh yeah, glory, glory, hallelujah for these guys who are screwing you. It is they who are destroying this country. You are not getting entitlements, folks. The people that they teach you to hate, that person on welfare, that person on food stamps, even that person on food stamps is doing more for the economy than that wealthy person in the aggregate on a percentage basis, because the act of them spending that food stamps create economic activity for that wealthy person. But you're not taught that. And like John said earlier, we are just given and taught the things that they want us to know, but we simply don't know how this system operates. And in not knowing that, we make the decisions that we make. When Mitch McConnell says they'll get over it, he's saying, hey, all of you that are listening to me right now, Mitch McConnell told you, you are so stupid that you are going to get over that he's about, the Republican Party and that new bill is about to take you to the cleaners once again. Once again, it's going to make you poorer. And the article that I selected for this morning that Jack paraphrased earlier has a beautiful chart in there that shows you how much you're being screwed by the 0.1%, by the 1%, and by the 5%. And it's not a pretty thing. So here is my advice to all of those that are listening. First of all, do not accept the things that I say at face value if it makes you uncomfortable. Please go ahead and please do your own research and find out these things that I'm telling you. Because again, like I said, you don't get this stuff. Not even when you go to business school do they cover all the machinations that the rich does to keep you down. Because remember, for there to be a master, there's got to be a slave. For there to be an ultra rich in a growing economy where you grow faster than everybody else, you have to have the poor worker bee. That's you. And you have to determine. And by the way, we still live in a democracy. You have to determine if you're going to continue to let ideology, if you're going to continue to let prejudice, false prejudice, that is, if you're going to allow them to put hate in your heart, to do these things, to rip you off as they do it, that's really on you.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.